Sean Levine will step into the cage with Brendan Tobin in Are You Gonna Fight Me?
I'm gonna fight your ass!
Here on Tapped Out.
That's right, fight me like a man!
Only on the BetQL network.
You know the rules. I want a good, clean fight. When I tell you to break, I want you to step back up my command and break. Now go back to the corner and come out fighting at the bell.
What's good in your neighborhood? Welcome back in the second hour, or round two if you prefer. Tapped Out on the BetQL network. I hope you're having a good Saturday night with Jake and with BT on the sports machine, Sean Levine. All right, man. Meet me in the middle of the octagon. Put those gloves up. Let's fight. Stipe Miocic is widely regarded as the best heavyweight of all time. Fingers crossed that we get to see him going at it with John Jones. Although, kind of like we were talking about earlier with Conor McGregor, I'm not really holding out too much hope that we ever see that either. Like, if we do, cool. If not, then we don't. I just move on. You're going to fight me if I say I'm not sure that Stipe is the best heavyweight of all time.
I would then ask, who do you think is the best of all time?
Well, if I can weasel my way out of it, and I've been known to do that before, maybe Fedor. I think a lot of people would have him ahead of Stipe when it comes to best heavyweight of all time. You could say he never stepped in the octagon, so we don't know. And I would say, yeah, BT, people have been making that argument for a decade, so you don't have to do that. I would also argue he wasn't that much better than Daniel Cormier. We saw those guys go at it. He wasn't that much better than Cain Velasquez, I would say, in his prime. Although it sounds like you're going to fight me on this one.
I mean, man, the names he's beaten Mark Hunt, Andre Arlovsky, Fabricio Verdum, Alistair Overeem, Junior Dos Santos, beat Francis Ngannou into a pulp before Francis beat him back. He beat Daniel Cormier twice in their trilogy. I don't know, man. I mean, that's as good a resume as it gets. I don't really know if any. And how many defenses did he have? He had, 1, 2, 3 defenses, which I think is pretty good for heavyweight, knowing how much that belt can change hands. I mean, Cormier's heavyweight resume is just basically a Derek Lewis fight into the Stipe thing, so I can't put him there. I'd say Verdum's probably got one of the arguments in there too, just for how long he was kind of in the mix. But Stipe beat him in his own country, man. That was a huge title win. Broke the old Cleveland curse before LeBron did.
He did, didn't he? Although I think maybe this isn't fair because we don't hold it against John Jones' inactivity. As soon as he comes back, we get excited. Same thing with Conor McGregor. I'm like Dana. I love fighters that love to fight. And a guy like Stipe, I'm not saying he doesn't, but it's just, dude, we get it. When's the last time we saw Stipe Miocic? Seriously. Has it been
a long time.
Years? It's been 4 years?
It's been.
How many presidential turnovers have we had since the last time we saw Stipe Miocic? So that's my
just
thing
one.
Is just one? Okay. All right, fine. All right, I'll give you that round. Speaking of the big guys, if Tom Aspinall was to fight John Jones, and at this point, I really hope we see that. Like with John Jones and the whole Stipe thing, I think most people would rather see him fight Alex Pereira or fight Tom Aspinall. I think Aspinall's name has gotten big enough at this point where he's fresher than Stipe Miocic. And if Aspinall fought Stipe Miocic, Aspinall would be favored to win. Am I wrong about that? I'm trying to make a point that Aspinall is a better fighter right now.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think that he probably is the better fighter, and deserves, just based on the wins and the guys that he's beaten. Who else is he supposed to like? This is one of those things where, like, right now Aspinall's in a spot where there's not really another heavyweight that you'd want to see him fight outside of Pereira coming up. And so you really deduce that he doesn't have a heavyweight to fight because, I mean, who else is Cyril Gane?
Yeah. No.
I don't think, we've already seen him in how many title pictures. He's kind of had his little run there. So that's the thing is, like, if there was this youth division and there was a ton of guys for him to fight and the UFC could keep him busy, then okay. I mean, like, we can have this, but like, he really doesn't have anybody else to fight but John Jones unless Pereira comes up. So that's the unfortunate thing about it. He doesn't have this own division that he can kind of hold to himself. He's already beaten Pavlovich. He's already beaten Curtis Blades. He's already beaten the who's who right now of this division. So I don't like the fact that Dana White's like, oh, you got to earn your way to John Jones or anything like that. First of all, I don't know when John Jones all of a sudden became Dana White's favorite fighter. I don't know if a fighter who's been more of a pain in the ass to Dana White's career than John Jones. So I find it strange that he needs to protect this unless they just think the business is going to be so much better for a John Jones Stipe fight, which maybe it will be. I don't know. The thing that I think is interesting about that, is I don't think Stipe has ever been looked upon as the biggest draw in the world. I love him to death, and I think he's a great heavyweight and an all-timer, but he's another guy that I don't feel like Dana's always wrapped his arms around. I would actually venture to say that Dana's not the biggest Stipe guy in the world. It feels like there's been a lot of tension between the UFC and Stipe in his career. So I do find it interesting that Dana doesn't have the interest in jumping both feet in unless he just knows I have one John Jones fight left and he wants to fight that, and I'm going to just get my last John Jones chip. He doesn't want to fight the young guys. There might be something we don't know about, but just from the outside looking in, it's a little bit weird how much he doesn't seem interested in going John Jones versus his young guys, his two young stars, and Tom Aspinall and Alex Bejeda.
What if Aspinall said, screw y'all, then I'm going to cut the weight. He's a big guy, Tom Aspinall. He's a huge guy. And I'm going to move down, and then I'm going to fight Pereira at light heavyweight. Any chance? No chance?
Hate that. I don't like moving down to fight for championships. But
at some point, like you said, you got to do something to get the fight, and that would be the fight. If Pereira's not going to move up, you got to move down. I'm with you. It sucks.
No, Pereira has already said that he wants to move up. Pereira would be going for history at that point. 3 championships, never been done before. To blow that on Tom Aspinall going to take a Pilates class and get himself down to 205, fair. Waste of time.
Okay, let's say you're right, and Pereira does move up, because I'll believe it when I see it. He moves up, he fights Aspinall. Who you got in that fight? Even money. Heavyweight.
I think I'm going to go Aspinall.
Yeah, okay.
I think I'll still go Aspinall.
Aboard. Which is crazy.
I think I'm still going to go Aspinall.
He's the scariest guy in the promotion, and we know somebody's going to knock somebody out. The funny thing is, I haven't even gotten to the question yet. The question was going to be, if Tom Aspinall fights John Jones, it's not going to see a round 2. You going to fight me?
Yeah. I'm not at the point where I'm ready to wrap my head around John Jones losing. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Just can't happen. It hasn't. Well, in theory. Umar Nurmagomedov looks like he can just sit on the sidelines at this point and then take on the winner of the O'Malley-Merab fight and try to get a belt himself. You're going to fight me if I say, I think Umar has a better shot at beating Sean O'Malley than Merab does.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. I think that is his striking, as he's shown against Corey Sandhagen, is really, really good. He's a different Nurmagomedov. He's got some extra tools that he's bringing. He's got some extra tools that he's bringing to the octagon for sure. He's fast. And then he has the threat of going to the takedowns and taking your back. So I just think there just seems like there's more of a danger element against a Sean O'Malley than Merab does. Now, it's interesting because I do feel like, because they can both grapple, I do feel like Merab, this is like a styles make fights thing. I feel like Merab could handle Umar. I do feel like he could win that fight too. He could be jumped, but I'm very curious to see how he handles the size difference and the reach difference and the striking speed difference with Sean O'Malley. Because if he can get to him and get it unscathed, obviously there are problems there he can make because he's such a tenacious ground fighter. But yeah, Umar's got that karate style, those kicks, the swift in and out style. I think that he could definitely have some issues for Sean O'Malley. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, as you say, he's a different type of Nurmagomedov. And I'm with you. We've gotten used to the Nurmagomedov that sits on top of you, can ground and pound, can strike a little bit, but it's the grappler first. And you're right, this guy's got a little bit of a different style. Man, Khabib as a coach has kind of turned legit. Now, certainly he already had a lot of pretty much ready-made products when you talk about Islam, when you talk about this whole Nurmagomedov clan. Are Nurmagomedovs just like Smiths over there in the mountains? Everywhere you go, it's like, nice to meet you. Oh, I'm Nurmagomedov too? You never been there?
I know we have to do this all the time with whenever there's a Nurmagomedov, we have to see, is he in the family tree? Because who's the guy from Bellator? Is it Saeed Nurmagomedov or is he in the UFC? Now I'm losing case. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so like you have to be careful of which Nurmagomedovs are Nurmagomedovs, true Nurmagomedovs of UFC Nurmagomedovs, but I don't, I don't want to discredit other Nurmagomedovs because who's to say they can't be good Nurmagomedovs either.
I wish I was a Nurmagomedov. I'm just a sports machine, Sean Levine. That's Brendan Tobin. He also not a Nurmagomedov. I just rewatched Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor, both 1 and 2. I couldn't sleep the other night, so I just rewatched them both. I got so excited I had to get out of bed. I think 1, maybe it's because it was an upset. I don't know, it was a little bit bloodier, although they were both bloodbaths, both those fights. Absolute bloodbaths. I think 1 was a little bit better than 2. You gonna fight me?
They're just so different. Like one is like, holy crap, I never forget where you are moment for that one. Like, Conor
It's
McGregor on
actually,
top of the
I'm
world.
not surprised. Ever efforts is what you're
Yeah.
looking
Well,
for.
he wasn't
Yeah.
surprised, but we all were surprised. We were all
That's
surprised
fair.
that Conor McGregor lost that fight when he seemed invincible. So that one is just gonna ring like it's an all-time moment. It's one of those all-time moments. You remember where you were as a fan. It's right there with the Leon Edwards knocking out Kamaru or Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje. Like these are like these iconic Ronda Rousey getting knocked out by Holly Holm. I was actually at the same place for both of those, the Brass Monkey Pub right down the road, which they don't show UFCs anymore. They don't show UFCs anymore, which disappoints me.
Oh, were you at the Brass Monkey Pub for the Conor McGregor Jose Aldo knockout?
I was.
Were you? I love how you thought about that, as if you couldn't lie to everybody and just tell us that you were. But it turns out that you were. So
No, I was. No, but I truly was. I was there. I watched a lot of Conor McGregor's success there. I watched like I don't know if it was just a thing. I remember they used to show like for sure used to show Ronda fights and Conor fights all the time at the Brass Monkey Pub. But yeah, not Conor versus Jose there, getting choked out. I watched for sure the Aldo fight there. I don't know if I watched Nate 2 there. I don't remember.
If they don't give you some free nachos and a Pepsi next time you're there, they're doing it wrong, dude. That was some pretty good promo for the Brass Monkey Pub. National radio, you kidding me here? On the BetQL network? Patty Pimblett called out Renato Moicano. Moicano has a fight to win. And then, I don't know, maybe we end up seeing it. Maybe I'm a sucker, but after I saw what Patty did, and I know it was against King Green, but he looked so good to me that I might actually take Patty to beat Renato Moicano if that fight goes down. You going to fight me?
No, I'm not going to fight you. I think it's definitely possible that he wins that fight. That's going to be one where I'll check in on the odds to see because I feel like Moicano is going to be a dog again, and I'm not going to want to pass up the value of Renato Moicano against Patty Pimblett. But no, I don't think that you're crazy. Look, if he can stay in shape like this and he can look as committed as he did in the camp for this fight, I think we have something here. I think Patty Pimblett can be a guy who has and reaches the star potential that he has. I mean, he's certainly a very, very talented grappler. And so it's good to see that he rose to the occasion. I think he definitely came away with that night, probably the biggest star of that night. So I think Moicano's a good level for him to see where he's at.
Statement made, as I believe the words from Patty the Batty himself. Colby, we haven't really talked about him in a while. It seems like he's all but disappeared. Although you were telling me there was a little bit of back and forth between Bilal and Kamaru Usman, and then Colby's name that comes up at some point. His performance against Leon was so bad. Almost every time that a fighter's off, just on a night, I cut him some slack. But he was so bad, and he's been so invisible since then. I just think I overrated Colby Covington. You gonna fight me?
I don't think it's a question of overrated. I think we forget how old these guys get because they're in our lives for a long time and that they're not quite the same.
Isn't Colby like 36 or something?
Yeah, he's a little bit older. And so not only that, but he I think the thing that you hold against Colby is opportunistic, and Colby did sit on the sidelines and get title fights and maybe got a title fights that he didn't maybe necessarily deserve, and then puts up a stinker, especially against Leon like that. And so, yeah, you're like, well, you got this gift and you blew it like that. Like how should I respond to this as a fan? Should I want to see him again? No, like you got to go and earn your way back, not be given another one and jump the line to go fight Bilal Muhammad again. It's ridiculous.
Another guy that hasn't looked like himself recently, Tyson Fury. He's going to be fighting Alexander Usyk Part 2. Fury, win, lose, or draw in that fight. We got like 30 seconds left, BT. You're going to fight me if I say he's still the best heavyweight of this most recent generation.
Nah, I think if you lose twice and Alexander Usyk has beaten Anthony Joshua twice and beaten Tyson Fury twice, I think you got to give it to Usyk. Usyk's then would be he's the undisputed cruiserweight champion, the undisputed heavyweight champion. He's beaten the best heavyweight. I think that he's got to have those bragging rights.
5 years ago, it probably would have been, you would have said Deontay Wilder. 4 years ago, you might have said Anthony Joshua. 3 years ago, you might have thrown a couple of names in there at some point, Tyson Fury. And now we're already to Usyk. How about that if he beats him up again? And I'm pretty sure he will. He was literally knocking him around the ropes. All right, I got to take a break on the other side. Favorite versus field here on the BetQL network.